Hi there, Wendy McClelland here. I'm just about to go in and chat with a great group of women, the Abbotsford Club of the Business and Professional Women's Association. And we're going to talk about demystifying social media. So if you're confused by Twitter and Facebook, come on in. I actually incorporated my first business when I was 19. I was working in a large corporation in the HR department, and I saw resumes come in that were really bad. And so I thought, I can teach people how to do this better. So I would rent a meeting room in a hotel and teach people how to write good resumes. In those days, we didn't have access to video, so we just role-played interviewing. And where at 19 I thought I had the knowledge base to teach other people how to do this, I don't know. But you know, I guess being born first and being the oldest of 6, you tend to feel you know everything. So I started my business in its current incarnation about 20 years ago. I was an apprentice midwife, totally different than the technology I deal with today, helping moms have healthy babies, and my marriage suddenly ended. And I couldn't be on call 24 hours a day for moms in labor because my kids were all under the age of 10. And I thought, what do I know how to do? So I know how to type really well because I took typing in high school. And I knew how to speak in front of a crowd, obviously. And I thought, okay, I'm going to start a little typing business. And I went to Future Shop, no money down, thank goodness. Was able to get a computer for 6 months. You could pay it off. I thought I can make enough money in 6 months and pay it off. Took it home and opened the box. And I want to tell you how technologically untalented I was. I picked up the mouse and I pointed it at the screen. And my son, who was 10 at the time, says, "No, Mom, put it on the table and move it." So I have come a long way since that first computer at home. And I literally started typing term papers for university students, menus for restaurants. I created a binder of 10 mock companies, and I created a brochure and a flyer and an advertisement for 10 companies. I traded babysitting with a girlfriend, and I would go and do 10 cold calls every morning by 10 a.m., literally just knocking on doors and saying, "This is what I can do for you." And that's how I built my business. And people started to say, "Well, you know, I'm having a bit of a problem this time of year, or this day of the week is slow." And for some reason, marketing just came naturally to me. And I was able to make suggestions, and they gave them ideas, which worked. So they gave me referrals. And that grew into the chamber phoning me one day and saying, "Would you come in and do some business counseling?" Today we would call it business coaching. And I did that. And from there, I got a call from UFV. At the time, it was University College. And they said, "Would you come in and teach in our business program for a day?" And I said, "Well, I don't have a university degree." They said, "That's fine. It's our entrepreneur program. We have visiting speakers. Please come in and talk for a day." And I went in and I did a workshop for the class. And at the end, the prof who was sitting at the back said, "Loved what you did. Would you develop a whole series of curriculum for us?" So I realized I had a knack for business building and marketing and getting people moving in their businesses. So one thing I always have kept in mind with my business and my life is, how do I take this to the next step? So I thought, there's all these people that want to start small businesses. How can I connect with them better? And I thought, radio. I had never written a business proposal in my life. I didn't know the name of the marketing manager at the radio station, but I drove out to Chilliwack to Star FM, which at the time had a talk radio format. And I said, "Could I meet with your marketing manager?" Didn't even know the guy's name, had no appointment, and he graciously met with me. And I explained to him what I was doing and what my idea was. And I said, "I'd like to have a little show for people who have small businesses and give them a little tip of the day." And he said, "Well, I like your idea. Let me talk to the team and I'll get back to you." Before I even got home, my cell phone was ringing. And at that point in time, it was one of those big honking shoebox-sized cell phones. You know, this is like 1994. And he said, "Yeah, we love it. Let's get started." So I spent the weekend writing scripts and went in Monday morning and recorded 2 weeks worth of shows. Every 2 weeks I go in and record my shows. And it was called Family Business and ran for 18 months every weekday morning until they switched to a rock format. So that little bit of credibility, being on the radio, even though I didn't get paid for it, gave me the credibility to go out and say, "Hey, I've done this. I can help you with this." And I have to tell you, one of the greatest experiences of my life, you know, when you see a new recording artist and they tell you the first time they heard their song on the radio, it was so thrilling. Well, I was actually in line at Envision Credit Union, and I heard my show come on the radio. And I was like, "Oh, that's me, that's me." And I kept looking around going, "Doesn't anybody know? Doesn't anybody know?" It was so exciting. You'd think I'd won the lottery or something. So one of the things with Star FM was they wanted me to at least have an email account. I'd never even really heard of the internet. It was such early days. And there's maybe 200,000 web pages online at the time. And today you see that number, there's 200,000 new pages coming online every day. And so I logged onto the internet with the only internet company that was in town at the time, and literally did not go to bed for 2 days and 2 nights. I searched and I looked and I saw General Motors, I saw Ford, Kraft Foods, Toyota, all these big companies. And I thought, I can create a website that looks just as good as this and makes my company look really professional. And so I taught myself HTML code and worked with a designer, and we launched a website. And 3 weeks later, I got a call from a guy in LA, and he said, "Oh, I'd like to interview you for American Business Magazine." And I'm like, "How did you find me?" And he said, "Well, don't you know you're listed in the New York Times today as one of the best business sites on the internet?" And the same day, they chose Microsoft. So I was in the same realm as Bill Gates. So I thought, okay, good company. How do I take this to the next level? So I wrote a press release that went national, and I had people calling me to interview me. But more importantly for my business, I had people calling me and saying, "Teach me this internet stuff. Help me build a website." And so I built the business to a point where I had about a dozen web designers working for me and clients all over Western Canada and the US. I was speaking throughout Western Canada and the United States, and quite a lot down in California. And the business grew very quickly, and it was because I was a woman in a field that was mostly male-dominated. I didn't speak technical language, and I made things simple for people. So those are key things. Speak the language that your audience speaks. Don't use your jargon that you use normally in your business, and that's just one little tip. But anyway, going to jump ahead. As the business grew to a really successful point, I was about to open an office in LA, and I got sick, and I thought it was a stomach flu, except the stomach flu wasn't going away. And ended up having to give up custody of my children, shut my business down, and what it turned out to be was E. coli. As we all sit eating lunch, don't worry, it's safe. Don't know where I got it, but it went into my spine, and it ate away the lower 3 vertebrae, 2 discs, and one of my kidneys. So I spent 2 months in intensive care in PGH in the spinal unit, and then another 2.5 months in a body cast from my neck to my knees to fuse the bone fragments back around the spinal cord, and then about 1.5 years learning to walk again without a cane. And which is one reason I'm passionate. If I ever see anybody pull into those handicapped parking spots and you don't have a sticker, you're going to hear it from me. And it was a real proud day for me when I could take that handicap sticker out of my window. I'll tell you, when I could walk without using a cane and parking in those spots, I felt a real victory. So I started over again. I had to learn how to speak again and how to put words together. I lost almost all my vocabulary. And for me as a speaker, that was like a huge loss. So I went back to grade 1 books, started reading those, grade 1 crossword puzzles, math books, and just retrained my brain. And that's one of the lessons, that's one of the passions that I have right now is neuroplasticity, which is retraining the brain and training it to do things that we didn't think it could do. And there's so much research going on now. It's just fascinating what our brains can do. So for me, that was a real life lesson. On and off, I've worked for other companies, had my own business, and now I am back doing what I'm passionate about, which is the internet. I think it's probably, well, I would say it's probably one of the top 3 things in the past 100 years that have changed our life. From cars to space travel to the internet. And I do 99.9% of my business online. And all of you, if you want to take advantage of the internet, can do that. And the big term now is social media. And how do you get started? One of the biggest things my clients say to me is, I'm struggling, I'm confused. Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, Google+, like where do I start and how do I start? So one of the things I wanted to do for you today is demystify it. First of all, how do you choose the right social media for you? I've given everybody a handout. And one thing I want to point out here, I'm in the midst of a major rebrand. So my cards have a company named Simply Organic Marketing. In the next month, my company will be Think Beyond Boundaries. So that's why the new logo is at the top. I'm just doing a gradual transition here. So how do you choose the right social media for your business? Number 1, if you have a product that is very visual, if you sell something like artwork, jewelry, chocolate, home decor, all of those kinds of things would be excellent on Pinterest. For those of you unfamiliar with Pinterest, it was basically started less than 3 years ago, and it's now one of the top 3 sites that generates traffic to money, meaning one of the top 3 sites that people go to first. They find something, they'll click a link and go to a website and buy that product. Martha Stewart, huge on there. A whole bunch of companies now recognizing the value of Pinterest. It's like a giant pin board. And people, it's like your kitchen, your fridge with magnets on it. And people put up their favorite things, whether it's home decor, organizing things, pictures of their pets, recipes, travel, you name it, there's pictures of it up there. And people share these pins. Well, the cool thing about Pinterest for business that's visual is that you can actually put your price on there. And they have a tool. Let's say I'm going and I want to buy a gift basket that's between $25 and $50. I can use their search tool to narrow down my price point, and it'll bring up all those things in that price point for me. So if you've got a product that you put your price tag on that links back to your website, you can use Pinterest to generate some business. If you have a product, however, that's more not necessarily as visual, I wouldn't really worry about Pinterest so much right now. Really focus, find the one tool that's going to be right for you. And this little visual here, I just want to explain this to you. In the center here is going to be either your website or your blog. Okay? And everything else in social media is going to feed into that because we want to generate traffic to your blog or to your website. So your website is where you're going to collect email addresses. When I used to have do business training, I used to say to clients, if your business is on fire, you grab that Rolodex. Today I would say grab your smartphone or grab whatever tool you have that has all your client addresses in it. You can lose everything, but if you have your clients' names and contact information, you can rebuild your business very quickly. So your website has to be collecting email addresses. And you say, well, I don't want to start an email newsletter, it's too much work. Well, if you have a website and you're not collecting people's email addresses, you're wasting your time. Because you say, oh, they'll come back if they like my site. How often have you gone to a site and gone, oh, this is fabulous, I'll come back. Can't remember the website address, you're too busy, totally slips your mind. So offer them a free report. If your business is business coaching, a great tip would be something like the top 5 things to think about as you're going into 2003, top 5 questions to ask yourself for planning for 2003. Give people something that's of value, and it's a free downloadable report. Then you have their email address, and then send them out an email newsletter once every quarter if that's all you want to do. So all of your social media is going to drive traffic into your website or your blog. Now I'll just say a little bit about blogging. Blogging is basically writing an article on a regular basis that has interest to people that follow you. And there's millions of blogs out there that people start and they write for a couple of weeks and then they get bored and they leave it. I'm starting a new strategy that I think is going to work well. I've written 52 topics of blog posts for the next year. I sat down and I thought, what do my clients ask me about the most? Then some of them are also personal observations. If you're looking for something really quick, I had one client who she was in need quickly of some specific software developer. And so I put out a tweet, and within 20 minutes we had somebody for her. So Twitter's kind of a quick shout out. I need some help. Can anybody give me a hand here? YouTube, love YouTube. By 2014, over 40% of what people view online will be video. So if you're not using video now, start thinking about it. This video is going to be broken down. I'll explain how we're going to do it. My talk is going to be one video on YouTube. Then we're going to do some Q&A, and each question and answer is going to be broken down individually to be individual videos on YouTube. Then when I post them on YouTube, there's a specific way to do it. Make sure your titles reflect what your customers are looking for. Don't just put video at women's luncheon as an example for this. Nobody goes onto YouTube and types video at women's luncheon in the search box. What they might type is, how do I understand social media? That might be the title of this video. So video on YouTube, make sure your titles are appropriate for what your clients are searching for. And Google now owns YouTube. So when someone goes to Google to search, YouTube videos are going to pop up. So that increases your opportunity to get into the Google rankings as well. Facebook. Facebook right now is probably my #1 tool for marketing. I was saying to the ladies at the table here that the sweet spot, as they say, for posting on Facebook is 2 to 5 times per day. And people go, 2 to 5 times a day? There's no possible way I can do that. Here's a couple of reasons why. Facebook just changed its algorithm, which means that when you post something on Facebook, not everybody that's liked your page or is a friend of yours is going to see your post. They'll see it in the news feed that's on the right-hand side, but in their main news feed, it is not going to appear. Maybe 10 to 15% of the time. 10 to 15% of the people who you post to will see your post. That's why we post frequently. And the more frequently you post, the more your ranking goes up in that algorithm and the more the posts will be spread. And if your posts are ones that have questions in them, like you do a survey or a poll, or you ask people for their opinion and you get feedback and likes on your posts, the more interactive, the more your posts are shared on Facebook. You can use a tool on Facebook now, which is what I do. I spend about an hour a week to pre-schedule all my posts for that week up to 10 days in advance. And so I can pre-schedule 2 to 5 posts a day. I still add additional posts. If there's a news article that's of relevance to my client base, I will post that as well. I just posted on Facebook before I came here that I was going to come and speak to you guys. And here's a little tip for you. If you're trying to get somebody's attention on Facebook, maybe there's a potential client that you'd really like to snag, and you've liked their Facebook page, you're following their posts, and you just can't quite figure out how am I going to make this connection. If you write a Facebook post and you use the little @ symbol, and then you type in that company's name whose attention you're trying to get, that will link back to their Facebook page and show up on their wall. Then they will know that you've commented something about them. And that will get their interest piqued. And then they are more likely to follow you and have that start of an engagement with you. So there's lots of little things that you can do on Facebook to get people's attention that you're trying to connect with. There's a lot of overwhelm right now. People are just, the pace of change is going so fast. The information that we learned from the beginning of mankind until 2003 is now created every 2 days. I'm going to say that again. The amount of information created from the start of mankind to 2003 is now created every 2 days. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, there's a reason. One of the things you need to do is focus, identify your ideal client. Are they on Facebook? Pretty much likely that they are. Most people use Facebook as a social medium, but they also use it to share referrals. I have a daughter who's 25, and whenever we go shopping, her first thing that she pulls out is her iPhone, and she checks the reviews on either Yelp or another social networking site to see what other people have said about the product she wants to buy. This is the future. Facebook now, over 30% of the people that access Facebook do it by mobile phone. So if you're doing any kind of strategy online, it needs to be mobile friendly. So your website needs to look good on a mobile phone or a tablet. And that's just going to increase. My smartphone is probably the #1 tool that I use for my business. I have a great product that I use, and it allows me to have all my client files on my phone too. It backs up my files at home every 24 hours, and then it also puts them all onto my iPhone. So I have my client files everywhere, so everything is becoming mobile. Online Christmas shopping, we don't have the numbers for 2012, but in 2011, it was up 15% to over $35 billion in North America. That's a heck of a lot of money. If you're not selling online, think about, and this is a message I've said to people for 20 years, what do you have up here that you can put into a product? Can you put it into a downloadable report? Can you put it into a CD series? Can you put it into an online video series? I mentioned this is going to go on to YouTube. There is a realtor in Vancouver, Ian Watt, who has taken his whole business online. And his model for realtors is amazing. He sells high-end properties in downtown Vancouver. He doesn't do any signage or anything like that anymore. He takes his iPhone. If he gets a listing and he wants it to go up quickly, he'll just take his iPhone. He'll be sitting in his car and go, okay, just got a listing at such and such on Howe Street. Going to show you guys what it looks like. And he takes his iPhone. He wanders through the suite, gives you a quick description, pops it up onto YouTube. Multi-millionaire. Now with the iPhone, you can put your video up from anywhere. And they don't have to be perfect quality. This quality today is going to be exceptional, but my iPhone takes decent photography too, or buy a little flip camera. Take a video if you're going to an event and you're networking with other people. Take that camera and start to share those videos. That's what people interact with. People don't have so much time to read anymore, but they love video. If you're going to put video on YouTube, make it short, 3 to 5 minutes. That's people's attention span. You've got, when you come to your website, about 8 seconds. On YouTube, if you're good, they'll hang in there for 3 to 5 minutes. So you need a strategy that's going to integrate everything. What I do with my clients is I say, okay, let's identify your ideal client. And I make them drill down. Age, sex, what are they interested in? How much money do they have? Are they a homeowner or are they a renter? Are they someone who has a higher degree in education or not? What kind of vehicle do they drive? Do they work full-time? Do they work part-time? Are they self-employed? I want them to create a picture in their mind of who that ideal client is. Then we can figure out where they are and how to connect with them. So the right social media for your business. I wanted to take a couple of people's company examples and maybe give you some ideas. So does anybody have a company that they want to get an idea about social media for? Yes, business coach.
Business coach.
Okay, business coach. What are you doing now? First question.
I'm just starting.
Okay, so she's just starting as a business coach. All right, so what I would suggest you do is, do you have a website now?
Starting.
Okay, start your website, and I would say get an email newsletter that gives short tips once every 2 weeks, once a month on the strategies that you teach for business, how to be a successful business owner. And I would also suggest video, like pop up that video on your front page of your website so that people see you and they get to know the personal side of you. As much as this is technology, it's a tool to build a relationship with. Whenever I go to a website, the first thing I go to is the About tab. And if I don't see a picture and a description of who this person is, I'm gone. If I'm not, I will not do business with a faceless company. So on your About page, have a little bio, but also some fun stuff, like some of the things that were described about me, like I love animals, my grandkids, painting. Give people a few little things that they may not know about you so they get to have that personal connection. Join networking organizations. Go to City Hall. They'll give you a list of all the new businesses that were opened in the last 30 days. And you can reach out to those people, check out their Facebook pages, check out their Twitter feed, and just say, I've got this great free report. Create a little PDF file of the 5 top things business owners need to do to stay on task or whatever. And reach out to them and say, if you're interested, I'd love to do this for you. Another thing that I did when I first started, every business I've had, whether it was an apprentice midwife and labor support, or whether it was a business more structured toward companies, was I did free workshops. So do a free seminar and pre-sell another workshop that you're doing or your services. Because once people see you in action and they start to realize, oh, I could work with this person. One of the things I've used too that's been very helpful is I have a little survey that I send potential new clients to. So it just kind of outlines for them, it helps them clarify in their own mind what their actual goals are, and it helps me understand how best to support them. So those would be some suggestions. I would also say Facebook, check out other business coaches and see what they're doing. Make sure on your Facebook page, you know where you have your description of your company, that on that front page there's a link back to your website. We want to drive all the traffic to your website. Start blogging about being a business coach. Write some case studies, people that you've helped. And if you are struggling in the beginning to get paying clients, approach a couple of smaller businesses that may not have the funds to pay you and offer to do a pro bono one. Just so you've got a case study, you can get a testimonial and get something under your belt so you can say, hey, this is a past client. Because that always looks good when you've got that list of clients, even if you're just starting out. Does that help? Good. Anybody else? Yeah. A not-for-profit. Okay, excellent. Not-for-profit's #1 rule in my mind. I used to be the provincial coordinator of thrift stores for MCC, so I'm very familiar with the nonprofit world. #1 rule, think like a business. Okay? Too many nonprofits think like a charity, and we got to get that out of your head. So, nonprofits, you want to reach out to people who, I'm assuming you want cash and you want volunteers. Would that be correct? Okay. So, volunteers. Who's your ideal volunteer? So, women would be?
Yeah.
Okay. What I would say is your ideal client is going to be that volunteer. So, figure out who they are. Gender, age, interests. Then where do they hang out? Women 24 to 60 hang out on Facebook. So look at other women's organizations. Also, there's an online service called Meetup. Is anybody familiar with Meetup? Yeah, okay. Meetup was actually started after 9/11. Two guys that lived in New York were devastated by the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and everybody in their building was just shell-shocked. They lived really close to the Twin Towers. And they said, let's just have a little get-together and chat and kind of talk through these feelings. And they found that it was really helpful, and they started sharing this idea with other people in the area. And then they said, let's start this as a big thing. And Meetup was born, and now there's millions of meetups all over the world. Everything from Labrador retriever lover meetups to social media groups to Mustang car lovers to Wiccans to Catholics to whatever you can think of, there's a meetup for. So your groups probably are already, if you're looking for volunteers, they've already got that mindset of being involved in the community. So I would look for meetups that kind of target those people that you're looking to be volunteers for you.
The other thing that I was thinking about on the piece of fund development was your idea of thanking the donor on your Facebook,
Absolutely.
linking it to their website so it posts on their Facebook, or
Absolutely.
their Facebook, and maybe even tweeting
Absolutely.
that donation.
Yes, yes.
So that people see that the organization
Appreciates and recognizes. Yeah, absolutely.
The other piece that we do is a lot of community education and training around early childhood, children with special needs.
Okay.
I'm thinking of videotaping some of our events or educations or music therapy and uploading that onto YouTube.
Perfect.
Those kinds of things. But I like the idea of how everything comes together in one central place.
Yeah, and whenever you do something on one social media platform, share it on the others. Yeah. So what I'll do with this video is it'll go onto YouTube, I'll post it on Facebook, I'll post it on Twitter, I'll post it on Pinterest, and I will also put a link to it in my next newsletter that goes out and on my website. So it's kind of like the spokes of a wheel, and you choose what spokes you want to use, and for some it may just be Facebook. Facebook advertising, I want to talk a little quick bit about that because some people one of my clients actually, she spent $10 a day and for 7 days, and during that time they got 300 new Facebook likes, and the likes have continued to grow, not as quickly, but they have continued to grow, which has now given them more people that are signing up for their webinars that they do. And so Facebook advertising can be if you use it well, it's inexpensive, and there's some little tips I can give you later, but Facebook advertising is another thing to think about, even for nonprofits, and you can target it, like you can target gender, you can target area, you can target other groups that they belong to. Like you can go so deep as, if they're a subscriber to Entrepreneur Magazine, you can have the ad show up on their page. So there's lots of ways to really target those ads on Facebook, and they're very inexpensive to do. Yes? 10 minutes? Okay, thank you. Okay, so anybody else have a quick question? Yes?
Wendy, how careful do you have to be on who and what you video? And
Oh, okay. When you video, if I was going to video anybody in this room today, I have a release form that I get people to sign. And if you don't have one and you want one, I have a generic one. Just email me and I'll send it to you, and you can change it up for your own business. Most people these days, though, if you say, hey, can I pop you up in a quick video on YouTube? Most people say, yeah, go for it. Most people that are in the realm of using social media themselves, because it builds their brand. And because they know you're going to put their name in it anyway, and you want your brand built. For people that may not be comfortable with that, make sure you get them to sign a waiver. Yeah, and just email me. You've got my contact info, and I can send you that waiver. Yeah.
How about LinkedIn?
LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn I don't use a lot. But LinkedIn is an excellent professional network that allows you to connect with people that are more in management level positions in companies and entrepreneurs, obviously. They also now have advertising, so you can actually target your ads on LinkedIn. If you're going to do LinkedIn, you're going to need probably a little bit of help. I do have a program that I've just started using myself that may be helpful to you, but you're going to need a strategy. You're going to need to sit down and say, okay, who again is my ideal client? How do I reach out to them? It's not just a matter of building that connection and hoping they call you. You know, it's posting good information, it's reaching out to them, offering something to them, joining groups on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a lot of groups based on every industry, nonprofit, social networking, artists, all that kind of stuff. So join those groups, start to contribute. And that's part of the biggest thing I think about social networking that people need to keep in mind. It's about what you give, then you get. And it's the same with blogging. If you're a great writer and you want to share what you've written, but you don't have a lot of people following your blog, reach out to other people that have the same ideal client and offer to blog on their, be a guest blogger on their blog. And that gets you more publicity. And you can also offer free articles to other people that have email newsletters. And that gets your name out there too. I always like to think joint venture. How do we work cooperatively? The people videoing today, Veronica and David, they're part of a little network of people that I belong to. And David is a great web designer and videographer, and Veronica does video and graphic design. I have lots of people in my little network that I refer people to all the time. So build up your network. Like, really connect with people. When you go to a networking event, this isn't social media, this is just life. I've been to so many networking events where people, and I used to do it too, so I was not the best networker. I would just hand out my card at every table and sit down and hope people would phone me. Now if I go to a networking event, I may hand out 2 business cards. After a really good conversation, after I've learned who that person is, and on the back of that business card, I'll make some notes about them. Then I'll go home and I'll take a picture of it in my iPhone, upload it to my contact list, and I'll have all those notes in there so the next time I connect with them, I've got that information. Okay, so I've got 5 minutes left? Yes, okay. So if you feel, what I'd love for you to do, if you don't mind, is give me some feedback on this little workshop. Here's a little feedback form. That would be appreciated. And when we finish, before we leave today, I'm going to draw one of the feedback forms, and somebody will get a free hour of social media coaching from me. So there's value in filling in that little form. And next Saturday, just to let you know, I am doing a workshop here in Abbotsford. It's 5 hours, and we're going to talk about identifying your ideal client, connecting with them with social media, doing joint ventures, and connecting with media, so press releases, online media, that kind of thing. I don't do a lot of one-to-one coaching anymore because I'm so busy, but this is a small group. This is 8 people only. There's only 8 seats in the room, so you're going to get some personalized attention for your business. You'll determine who your ideal clients are, where are they, and create strategies to reach out to each of those ideal client groups. We're going to figure out who other business owners are that you can do joint ventures with. Joint ventures are the key to making money fast because you get opportunity to have access to another person's database and all their clients without doing any of that hard work to build that list. We're going to identify the keys to a successful website and how to integrate those into your site if you've already got one. We're going to write a press release on how to get, so you get media coverage, and talk about articles and blog posts, Facebook ads, teach you a little bit more about that, and simple things to do on Facebook that will immediately get you more likes and more interaction, and understand the basics of Pinterest and Twitter and YouTube. And as well, I'm going to be giving you a couple of extra things, a comprehensive list of online resources to help you build your business. These are all free stuff that I spent quite a bit of time researching and compiling. I'm also going to give you a list of resources to help you find the right kind of assistance online if you need a graphic designer, if you need a website developer. I'm also going to take your first press release and I will personally edit it for you and give it back to you in a form that's ready to go out to media. And you'll also be part of a private Facebook group only for members that have taken this specific boot camp, so that you're going to get my best information first. You're going to be the first people that get all the new stuff that I'm always learning. One of the things that I do is Mondays is my day for educating me. I'm my client on Monday. I spend the entire day reading, watching webinars, watching videos, interacting with potential partners. So Monday is the day that I focus on my business, and so all that information I share with my clients in this private Facebook group. That's what you get. So, like I said, I've got 8 seats available, and it's $199 for 5 hours, and that's quite a bit less than I normally charge just to meet with me for an hour. So it's a good deal. So I will hand these out, and if you have any questions, I'm going to be here for a little while. I'm actually I'm here till 1:30. So if you want to ask me any questions, 1:30 I do have a conference call, but other than that, I'm here. You've got my email contact information, and if you have questions afterwards that you go, oh, I wish I'd asked that when she was there, just email me, no charge. And like me on Facebook, because you'll get lots of good information there too, and I will hand these out, and thank you so much. It was fun.